2014, I was engaged in an archaeological campaign at Giza, exploring the northwest area of the pyramids. And at the end of the job, I was going to spend 2 days down the Sphinx, looking for the temples down the Lion of Giza, because I was very fascinated by the buildings characterized by large limestone blocks. When you visit the Sphinx area, you felt that it is a microcosm very different from the pyramids, and it is composed by 3 buildings: the Sphinx Temple, the Valley Temple, and the Temple of Amenhotep II. It is a world with its own characteristics and messages to decode. The Sphinx is impressive, but also the temples down the Giza Lion are amazing. They are positioned symmetrically, and they seem to be similar in size and shapes. Egyptology claims that Khafre workers built the so-called Sphinx Temple, such as the second pyramid and the Sphinx. But I have many doubts on the matter. Rather, I believe that both temples and Sphinx were built in the same moment, because of many technical details, highlighting symmetries, similarities and connection among them. Egyptologists say that the temple was built during the Khafre's kingdom because they found a statue in a diorite in a well into the temple. And it is the only proof they have. On the other side, there are lots of clues suggesting that the temple is more ancient than the Egyptian age. For example, the inventory stele tells the pyramids and the Sphinx already exist at the time of Khafre. And above all, as for the pyramid and the Khafre's mastaba, the Valley Temple is characterized by the lack of hieroglyphics celebrating the pharaoh or a deity at the time. I investigated the temples because I was intrigued by the blocks forming them that are impressive for their dimensions. They remind me the blocks forming the pyramids. That is why I was intrigued to study them, because I believe they were part of the same project. Now let's have a quick look at the monuments. The Sphinx Temple is very ancient, more than the dynastic age. Maybe it must be considered one of the most ancient temples ever built in Egypt, and maybe on Earth. Hundreds of limestone blocks form its basic structure. What is amazing is that each stone has an average weight of 180–200 tons, positioned one upon the other. To have an idea of its dimension, we can make a comparison with the famous archaeological site of Stonehenge in England. Every monolith forming the English site has the average weight of 50 tons, i.e. a quarter than blocks weight forming the Sphinx Temple in Egypt. Moreover, an in-depth investigation suggests that the temple seems to be built in 2 different stages because of the different type of blocks the builder used. At the beginning, the temple was built with limestone blocks, but during the dynastic age, Egyptian workers used granite blocks for restoring the building, affected by wind and water erosion. In fact, observing the blocks, we can see that granite was cut to fit together with limestone blocks strongly eroded. It is an interesting detail that could confirm the inventory stele content, suggesting that Cheops likely made the maintenance work on his pyramid, but he did not build it. The second monument I visited was the so-called Valley Temple, that for its style and characteristics is very similar to the Sphinx Temple. It was originally built with limestone and then restored with pink granite blocks. We don't know why, but maintenance works were not completed and no blocks are seriously affected by the weather. Lastly, the unknown Amenhotep II Temple, built during the New Kingdom and positioned on a little ridge northeast of the Sphinx. Actually, it is almost collapsing, just only few elements still standing, such as some columns, the entrance, and the stairs complex at the bottom of the building. Observing the temple, we can see some details referring to the possible existence of a preceding monument on which Amenhotep II workers built the temple that we can see in the image. The floor, in fact, about destroyed, revealed pieces of an ancient basement much older than the temple, characterized by very large blocks, reminding those forming the two temples beneath the Sphinx. Now, all those details needed to be put in order in the effort to understand why, at east of Giza, all those monuments were built and what was their purpose. Once more, I found the answer observing the astronomical map at 36,400 before Christ. It gave me the opportunity to fix a perfect correlation between the pyramids and the Orion's belt, or between the Sphinx and the Lion constellation, for example, and between Khenkawa's mastaba in Sirius as new factor than Bauval's theory. I believe it is a good device to find out the truth about the mysteries of east side of Giza. Of course, I use the same scientific model as for Khenkawa's mastaba that helped me to discover its correlation with Sirius star. I think it's very important to use the same model of investigation because it gives more credibility to your own job. Observing the astronomical map, the first thing I observed was the presence of two planets near Regulus, the greatest star of the Lion constellation. Two planets are Mercury and Jupiter. In my inner, I felt that it was amazing to assume a possible correlation with monuments. It was an amazing clue that leads me to improve my investigation of the matter. It was the first time that I was working on monuments that were not pyramids or mastaba. I had two temples and two planets, a number of data, and the need to bring new astronomical data to check a possible connection among them. I was aware that if results had been correct, it would be very stunning. I believe that mathematical constant pi, phi, epsilon would have had a key role, such as for correlation Sirius Khenkawa's. In addition, I approached the investigation using the same geometrical and physical parameters I used for Khenkawa's mastaba, because I believe it was the only way to have a correct scientific result. I analyzed comparable parameters having dimensions in royal qubits for homogeneous comparison among them. Of course, we have two tables for each correlation, and results are as follows. The first column shows the temple's parameters, and the third the planet's comparable parameters. The second and fourth column shows data in royal qubit. The fifth column shows the mathematical ratio as base of data relationship, and the last column shows the mathematical constants as base of the temple's project. Results confirm the doubts that builders sized the temple's dimensions, processing some basic planets parameters according to the laws of mathematics based on the applications of the three main mathematical constants such as pi, phi, and epsilon. The astronomical configuration suggests a precise correlation between Jupiter and Mercury with Regulus during the astronomical time of the Tepi, giving a kind of a microcosm at east of the pyramids, involving the Sphinx and the temples as well. Moreover, results suggest a very easy consideration. The builder's knowledge of astronomy was amazing at that time. Now we have the last mystery to unveil at east of Giza. What was the purpose of the so-called Amenhotep II Temple, or better, the building on which Amenhotep II built his temple? It seems to be avoided by the project, also because it has not a possible correlation with the star due to the lack of an astronomical element in the sky at east of the Lion constellation. Why did the builders build it in that position? The first detail is the anomalous position of the temple than the geographical points. We all know that all monuments of Giza are pointed to them, but that temple is totally out of position, much more than Khenkawa's mastaba. Why? I worked very hard to understand the ratio of the original building on which Amenhotep II built his temple during the New Kingdom. But at the end I probably found the key to unveil its purpose. If we draw a circle from the temple northeast corner toward the west, and then another circle from the same corner toward the east, we obtain two intersected circles, forming a kind of ellipse throughout the Sphinx pose. Exactly as the ecliptic crossed the pose of the Lion constellation, represented by the star Regulus, so the two circles crossed the Sphinx pose. So its disposition was not accidental, but it had a precise function: to fix the ecliptic plane at 36,400 before Christ. The lost civilization of Giza left a new amazing detail on Earth to convey the message of their existence, a kind of message in the battle through the millennia, showing their knowledges. In this way, they signed the Age of the Gods, when the Tepi began during the Lion Age in 36,400 before Christ.